Welcome guys, welcome to another video. This is going to be the continuation of my book study on the nutritional destruction of the melanated race. The term that's being used to describe that is called nutricide. The book is very, let's just say it's very explicit. The author does not mince for words. He's not intentionally trying to, appease anybody. He's just speaking truth. There are going to be certain terms that are used in here that's going to rub certain people the wrong way. And if it does, if you can't take it, it's okay to go to another video. You do not have to watch this video. You don't have to listen to anything that I'm saying. But if you are seeking truth and looking to better your health and looking at the concept of war on the front that's being waged upon our people from a chemical perspective, because foods are inundated with chemicals, we know that. And so it's a chemical form of warfare. And that's what we are in today. So I'm going to start reading where I stopped at last time. I'm going to be getting into the African woman form of nutricide. It's called cultural genocide. All right. So both subjects they coincide with one another. So when I talk about African woman nutricide, the essence or the influential aspect of the African woman or the melanated woman also permeates into the culture as well. Okay. So I'm going to start. All right. Follow me. African men and women are faced with one reality, and that is to rid African culture of nutritional and cultural genocide. Male sexism against the African or melanated American woman obviously exploits, oppresses, and denies the melanated woman or African woman her human rights. Okay? I want you guys you may want to rewind that and let that digest. I know that was a mouthful, but the guy, he just says what it is, and it's left up to you to contextualize it. If you want to keep playing the game of who's being a racist, we all supposed to be together, he's not doing that. He's forcing our people to think of our essence, of our Afrocentricity. But hey, all right, let me continue here. Currently, the African woman is assumed a slave of a slave. All right, a slave of the African man. Seasoning, that's the term he uses here. He calls it seasoning. During slavery, caused a mental enslavement of men and women. So mental enslavement is just more lethal to me, or more of a detriment than physical enslavement. You can be physically captured, but if no one can capture your mind, you still can be liberated to a certain degree, because if you have a mind of your own, and you are a free-spirited thinker, then even though you may be in shackles, the fact that you have the ability to be creative, to think of your escape, or to be creative, to think of how things can be better. The worst type of slave is the one that's both shackled physically and shackled mentally. Or take away the shackles. Let's just shackle them mentally. If you shackle a person mentally and you have them mentally captive to your own, narrative and to your own propaganda, then you become a slave of yourself, because your mind is already captive. It's already taken over. It's like a computer system being hacked by a virus. The software becomes corrupt. Once the brain is corrupt, then the body follows. So no longer does the slave master need to put on the shackles and the chains on you to keep you close. He's already got to your brain. He's already got to your mental state. And once he's gotten to your mental state, you are done. All right. It needs to be eliminated. And what he says that needs to be eliminated is during slavery, it caused the mental enslavement of men and women. And this mental enslavement of men and women, it needs to be eliminated. A holistic balance requires new words and deeds of behavior from the African man. Reparations for years of African relationships, spiritual, mental, physical, and cultural genocide are necessary, yet risky. Risky because a new definition for the African man's mental, spiritual, and social cleansing has not yet been defined. This cannot be defined until the woman or man unity effort puts holistic cleansing in motion. A spiritual dis-ease that caused the African man to act upon himself and upon the African woman with mutilation called infibulation, excision, hair relaxers, circumcision, earrings, bleaching creams, nose rings, high heels, makes the African woman's physical body a sacrifice. Black male sexism, as well as female feminism requires the power of the power to have human rights. So I know a lot of the things that we deem to be normal, high heels, makeup, earrings, we've just seen that so long, we just think that's the norm. That's not normal, folks. All right? That's not normal. And as the author said, that's that's the mutilation of the African woman. All right? Continuing on here. Human rights and civil rights can only be guaranteed by a group that has control over resources and land. There are no individual or relationship rights and freedom without a group to protect the rights and freedoms. The African male and female can only initiate Caucasian relationship problems and assume they are their own problems. So he's saying we're adopting their principles, and that's always been the conundrum. That's been the narrative of the melanated man for centuries. We adopt foreign principles and try to make that into our own principles, and it doesn't jive. It doesn't mend well. It doesn't go together well. It never will, because we're not made or built the same way as them. I keep saying this, and I don't think it's resonating with you guys. You're forcing yourself to normalize something that's not normal to your nature. That in itself, it's psychotic. And you wonder why so many of our people go crazy. Reading along here. The African male and female can only initiate Caucasian relationship problems and assume they are their own problems. It is the same as a slave saying, "Master, we are sick." Sexism and feminism are merely former slave individuals and relationship methods of coping with confronting racism and slavery trauma in each other and in the relationship. Let me go back for a second when it talks about it's the same as a slave saying, "Master, we are sick." Your master is sick mentally. They function off of a psychosis. You're telling them that you're sick. You're telling a sick person that you're sick. The sick person has put you in a state of being sick. That's the play on words. That's what he means by that. It's like a rapist telling a pedophile you have a problem. But the rapist has a problem too. He's a rapist. The problem with the melanated man seeking some type of assurance or help from his master, who is a European, is you who are sick. You're asking help from a person who's sick as well. Both are sick. You're not getting any resolutions from that endeavor. It's not going to happen. You hear me? It's not going to happen. It is the same as a slave saying, "Master, we are sick." Sexism and feminism are merely former slave individuals and relationship methods of coping with and confronting racism and slavery trauma in each other and in the relationship. It is a mechanism to divide and conquer. Typically, the relationship is based upon confusion. That's what they deem love to be. Confusion is love. But see, what the European likes to do, they complicate things, and then they sort of inject a way to arrive at a resolution to what they've complicated, and they deem the search or the endeavor to find a resolution to a problem that they've created, they deem that to be the effort of finding love. Love is not supposed to be confusing. Life is not supposed to be confused. It's supposed to be very simple. But the European complicates things. And they've put it into our minds that having relationships is complicated. It's not really that complicated. They've made it complicated. And that they've made you as a melanated man believe that relationships are complicated. As you think, so you are. So if you think that relationships are complicated, when you do get in a relationship, your relationship will be complicated. Because it was a self-fulfilling prophecy that you fulfilled prophetically, subconsciously, and consciously within your internal mental faculties. You've already thought it. So now you're just manifesting the symptoms of what you were already thinking in the inside. That's what happens. And sorry, guys, I've been stuffy for some time. And right now, I'm not supposed to be even eating in the office. My wife would kill me if she found out. But she went out. My little daughter had a track practice. She's 5. She's doing her little track practice. And I got to eat my apple, man. She'll be pissed off right now if she find me eating in the office. But I'm going to be smart. I'm going to get out of here before she gets here. Okay. Find where I was. Okay, typically the relationship is based upon confusion, which is what they deem love to be. Love defined by Caucasians is a mysterious feeling, an accidental falling in lust. But they say you're falling in love. It's usually you're falling in lust. A battle of the sexes and a heavenly confusion thing. Caucasian love used by Africans or melanated people creates confusion, resulting in divorces, adultery, destroyed children, and destroyed culture. All social customs, all rituals and social customs, all ceremonies, all dance, all music, all makeup, all artifacts, clothes, monogamy, polygamy, and current Afrocentric values must be disrupted. Lives upset, lives upset, and a new holistic order enacted. All right? So your not lives, I'm sorry, it's lives. I think there's a typo here with this. It says all social customs, rituals, ceremonies, dance, music, makeup, artists, clothes, monogamy, polygamy, and current Afrocentric values must be disrupted. Lives upset, and a new he didn't put a comma. Lives upset and a new holistic order enacted. The African woman and man's current spirit was not Mayat or the mother bonded. Mayat is the old spiritual systems of the old Egyptians, the Kemet. It was a system of the spiritual system that didn't involve anybody worshiping anything. It was just about living a balanced life, having a homeostatic relationship with nature, being one with yourself, not being too high, being too low. It's more of a lifestyle than anything. It wasn't you worshiping anything. It was you being just thankful for what's around you and incorporate nature in everything that you did. But here in America, here in the European, especially in the West, we don't do that. We rape nature. We destroy nature for profit, for gain. The African woman and man's current spirit was not mayat or mother bonded. They were not breastfed to 3 to 5 years old. Women don't even breastfeed nowadays. They just give them formula. No wonder why our melanated children act like idiots in school. They'll be much smarter than what they are. I know some of you guys say, "Oh, my little baby is smart." Your son or daughter would be smarter if you breastfed them to about 5 years old. The man was not married to the African woman by the family or the elders. Excuse me, guys. The man was not married to the African woman by the family or the elders' decision process. He was not fed natural foods. He was not trained in the rites of passage. He has been under nutricide. What is nutricide? The nutritional destruction of us by the foods we contaminate our brains with. By the foods we eat. When you are nutritionally deficient, you're mentally deficient. And if you're mentally deficient, you're spiritually deficient. Hell out of here with that. All right, man, reading along here. He has not trained in the rites of passage. He has been under nutricide. He does not use sexual regeneration. He erotically looks at her buttocks where manure evacuates. We've been trained to, that's what we do. We look at women's asses, but that's where manure comes out from. But that's what turns us on. You see how base and animalistic we've become because we follow in the European concept? They come from caves, folks. They're more animalistic than we are, believe it or not. Ancient Egypt was in its 18th or 19th dynasty before a European even came on the scene. The European gene is fairly young. It's about 6,000 years old. The melanated gene is about millions and millions of years old. There are different spectrums of melanated, of the melanated color, of the melanated hue. You have black blue people. You have purple blue people. You have dark people, dark black people. You have people my skin color, caramel, chocolate. Melanin has different shades. We've been on this planet, folks, for many, many years. All right? So that's what we do. We look at a woman's buttocks where manure evacuates, her cellulite legs and milk, feet and breast, and uses Caucasian romance instead of spiritualized unity. All right? We don't know what spiritual unity means. We've totally turned love into a physical thing. We don't even know what spiritual love is. I don't even think we could be trained on it because our minds are so far gone. And I'm speaking for myself too. I'm not here to act like I'm not on my high horse here. I've been indoctrinated like you guys have been indoctrinated. I'm slowly trying to remove myself from that, unlearn everything that I've learned. He demands that women wear makeup and high heels and allows the woman to be abused by PMS as a norm. The African man today cannot behave as he did in the past. The African man must defeat his acts of enslavement of the African woman. Furthermore, the African man must live and act according to a new woman and man order whose Mayat definition is yet to unfold. So he's saying here that we as black men or melanated men, we need to free our women from their captivity of the European culture. And until then, we're never going to see spiritual unity. All right. The white supremacy of the Caucasian has a total effect upon the African man and woman relationship. The relationship is not normal because it is under Caucasian siege with psychological battlefield conditions. The African man suffers from the side effects of racism and nutricide, which impacts the African woman with enslavement. He lives in a culture that alienates him and his mate from adulthood. In turn, he alienates the African woman from her womanhood. The African man suffers from the effects of being inferiorized by the Caucasian man. He has withdrawn from the traumatic emotional, mental, and spiritual impact of slavery. In this distortion, the African man suffers from nutricide. All right, he suffers from nutricide. The African woman's intellectual and emotional partnership with the African man is believed to be controlled by the moon instead of Mayat. The use of the moon as a timing device of the galaxy can indicate changes. The moon's sunlight reflection has an impact on water, tides, and menstruation. So he's talking about how the moon works with the woman's menstruation cycle. All right. Ironically, the African man's body has 10% more water than a woman does. And the woman has 10% more fat, which is an earth attribute, than the man does. So it would follow that the man's body would respond to the moon with equal, if not greater, force than a woman's does. That's an important fact right there. A lot of the times we think that the woman's menstrual cycle, they're going through their mood swings and mood changes. But he's saying here that we're more of water. The moon has more water. So if we have 10% more water than women, we are just as emotionally impacted by the moon as the woman is. I didn't know that. That's an interesting fact. I didn't know that. So it would follow that the man's body would respond to the moon with equal, if not greater, force than a woman's does. It must also be taken into consideration that the man's body is half female in hormonal and anatomical structure, and that's true. Every human being that's born, everybody that's born is a female first. It isn't until the 5th or 6th week that the gender changes. So you start off as a woman. If you're going to be a boy, then that's when the change occurs around the 5th or 6th week. Excuse me. Around the 5th or 6th week while you're in your mother's womb. And then women have more chromosomes than men. All right. Men are just a deficient version of a woman. All right. If you invert our genitalia, our penis becomes a vagina if you push it in. But it's inverted. Or I should say it's not inverted, but exerted. It's out. So that's why you see our penis hang out. But if you inverted it and pushed it in, our genitals would turn into a vagina. All right. And our breasts are not functional. We can't feed our children, but our women can. That's what they call it, Mother Nature. That's why you don't ever hear him say Father Nature. That doesn't resonate with the old ancients. They knew the power of the woman's body. They were very, very spiritual folks. Very detailed. We're not that way at all. We think that it's a man's world. It's actually a woman's world. And the man's not doing its part to fulfill what the world is supposed to be like. Harmony is needed. It's not about a man's world or a woman's world. It's about both working together. But the beginning starts with the woman. All right. So he says here, the role of the woman has an equal partner against racism. The role of the woman as an equal partner against racism is defined by whites as a sort of slave of a slave. This is based on the Caucasian religious beliefs, superstitions, and mainly chauvinism. Historically, it is documented that African women were soldiers, presidents of countries, Supreme Court judges, chief of council elders. Men equally parented and raised children, wore dresses, gowns, makeup, and mutilated their bodies with earrings. The African man's Caucasian created image is that of being an irresponsible parent. The Johns Hopkins Children's Center of Baltimore, Maryland, did a study in 1992 to 1993 of married, separated, and single parents, indicated that over 74% of the African fathers were active in parenting and during pregnancy. The paternal instinct of media controlled and depressed in today's African man. The parental instincts is media controlled and depressed into today's African man. He attributes of being a gentleman or having a female principle are depressed. He or it is part of the depressed female principle that allows the African woman's nutritional exploitation to go unchecked. Nutricidal diseases are added to her oppression. Africans are forced to be poor under Caucasian domination, which makes all disease rates the highest. Diseases decrease the quantity and quality of life. Diseases in African Americans or melanated people are caused by Caucasian social and environmental factors. The Department of Health and Human Services Task Force on Black Health reported this information from its research. The effects of nutricide are brutal assaults against the African woman. The disease of premenstrual syndrome, PMS, is being used as a Caucasian weapon to distort the woman and man's relationship. PMS causes at least 15 days of each month to be emotionally and intellectually hostile for men as well as women. The hostility can result in arguments, negative feelings, divorces, fights, crimes, and promiscuous sexual behavior and child abuse. The PMS goes untreated because it is chauvinistically defined as normal. So you see what the Caucasians do. They love to define things that are chaotic as normal. And things that are normal, they don't understand things that are normal because their brains don't function in things that are normal. All right? They live in it. They have a very antagonistic mindset that attacks anything that's natural and that comes from nature. That's just their makeup. They don't plan to be that way. That's just the way that they're built from a DNA, from a molecular perspective. That's just what they are. The Caucasian junk food diet creates PMS because it does not have vital nutrients. That's where you get the term vitamins from. Vital nutrients, vital minerals, vitamins. Okay? The body and mind react to being nutritionally starved to death with PMS or fibroid tumors. How many women do we know in our race that have fibroid tumors? It's your diet, man. Change your diet. Start eating natural foods. Eat foods that are grown from the earth. Go organic. Go vegan for about a month and see what happens to your body. Just try it if you don't believe me. And if you don't feel good, then go back to eating your junk. But once you try it for a month, you're not going to go back. Take it from a person that's tried it. And I never went back. All right? The body and mind react to being nutritionally starved to death with PMS or fibroid tumors. For example, the junk diet is low in riboflavin, which affects memory. All right? Low in beta-carotene, which decreases cognitive skills. Low in manganese, which results in low pineal, pituitary, and thyroid functions. So you can see all these minerals, they work in gel with our biochemistry to induce an optimal state of existence. You can't think clearly if you don't have the vital minerals in your body. You can't even function properly. You don't even know how it is to actually be a full human. You're living, you're alive, but you're actually dead because you're not really living to your optimal potential. You don't even know how it is to function at your optimal capacity, because you're deficient of so many minerals. And you think that the Caucasian or the European doesn't know this? That's why they doctor the foods the way they do them. They do the foods the way they do them for a reason, to get you sick, to come to their hospital, to take their toxic medicines, for you to take those medicines to get sicker, to be on more medications. Just storing medications and pills at problems is not the way to solve problems. That's what you call a not a silk, but a sick health industry. Not a health industry. A sick health industry. All right? They want you sick. Low manganese decreases the mother's instincts and is related to diabetes, high blood pressure, hypoglycemia, epileptic seizures, myasthenia gravis, while low dietary potassium is related to hypoglycemia, high blood pressure, heart problems, and heart problems. Excuse me, guys. Low selenium is related to sudden infant crib death. Low copper is related to postpartum depression and hyperactivity. Low manganese is also related to irritability, muscle tremors, depression, and low vanadium is related to decreased birth weight and high death rates. These are just some of the nutrients lacking in the African woman's diet when she eats Caucasian junk foods and cooked foods. So, ma'am, if you want to keep your fibroids and keep your diabetes, continue to eat like the European. Keep going to the McDonald's, keep going to the restaurants. And you tell me how you are 20 years from now. You know better, you do better. You got to make a change. There's no way we should be eating like that. These are just some of the nutrients lacking in the African woman's diet, all right? African women are not tested for nutrient deficiencies. If tested, it's by the normal standards of the Caucasian woman. So when you get tested, Melanated Queen, they're not even testing you based upon the metric of your genetics. They're testing you using the metric, using the standard of the Caucasian woman to measure you. But we both know, from a layman's term, from the most basic principle, from the most basic way of thinking, we both know that the chemical makeup of a Caucasian and the chemical makeup of a melanated person are two totally different things. So why are you measuring me with the same metric of a Caucasian? Why? It shouldn't be that way. These Caucasian standards for normal indicate a subclinical form of malnutrition in African women because Africans have a higher mineral level, power protein level, and higher vitamin D level related to melanin metabolism, ultraviolet rays, and starches. See, the way we metabolize ultraviolet light in the sun, and the way we metabolize the starches, our vitamin D levels, our protein levels are just higher. We're not the same. So why are you using the same standard to remedy a solution to my problem, but you're using a standard that doesn't fit with my biochemistry? That's a problem right there. When the African health is reduced to low Caucasian nutrient state, the Caucasian science reads it as normal. So when you're low, oh, you're normal. Oh, my blood levels are normal. No, they're not. You know why I know a lot of people's blood levels are not normal? I can just look at you. I could just look at you. If you're obese, your blood level can't be normal. I don't know where the hell they're getting those tests from. No ethno-medical steps are taken to improve African health using African nutrient levels as the standard. Instead, they wait until the level falls Afrocentricity low and is viewed simply as normal for Caucasians. In other words, the African woman is twice as sick as the Caucasian woman is because of the way they read you, the way they look at your body. By the time you have a problem, you're already doubly in trouble. When you do have the problem, they say you're normal. When it really gets real bad, you're actually in double trouble. Your severity goes from a level 1 to a level 2 now. And the numbers, when I say level 1 to a level 2, I mean that the level 2 is much more severe than the level 1. So if you had a problem at level 1 and you thought you were normal, then you come in at a level 2, they tell you, oh, now you have a problem. But you think that your level 2 is actually a level 1, but in actuality, you're just at a level 2. You're in double trouble, which makes you doubly more sick than the Caucasian metric system that they're using to judge you. Therefore, the African women's PMS and other diseases states disease reactions and recovery is twice as horrible. I just said that, double the trouble. Added to this, the nutricide continues and multiplies the disease beyond the scope of the Caucasian. A natural foods and raw foods diet could stop the diseases of premature births, birth defects, spontaneous abortions, menstruation difficulties, and holistic disease attacks on women's bodies. Nutrition Against Disease by Roger Williams reviews these problems. Aside from these nutricidal diseases, eclampsia is a disease of poor nutrition which strikes the poor severely. Africans are forced to be poor and undernourished under Caucasian domination. This makes all diseases rates the highest. Eclampsia is a toxic, convulsive condition of late pregnancy. Hypertension is usually a contributing factor and statistically higher and African Americans suffer from hypertension. The woman with eclampsia will have swollen feet and legs, spots before the eyes, severe headaches, and dizziness, which is untreated leads to coma and death. There's a mild eclampsia, and just as in any disease, there are various degrees of torture. Eclamptic behavior can be present and unnoticed. If you guys don't know what eclampsia is, Google it and look that up and see what that is. It kind of gives you an idea of the symptoms: swollen legs, dizziness, and spots on the face and all that. But it's not something that's good to have, definitely. The American Medical Association, or the MAA, has offered no cure for eclampsia, or the common cold for that matter. African women fall prey to all the Caucasian women's diseases by eating what Caucasians eat. Look, I was saying this before I read this book. Why do we eat like them? Why is their food the standard? Really? Huh. And he's going to get deep into the foods and how their mindset and the way they prepare their foods is a psychotic concoction of chaos put on a plate. And their foods, and even the names that they give their food, has a lot of perversions in it. He's going to get deep into it. You guys won't believe what you hear. Wow. African women fall prey to all the Caucasian women's diseases by eating what Caucasians eat. The white male supremacist medical profession does not acknowledge melanin. But you know that melanin is the base of all medicine, right? You judge a medicine's efficiency or efficacy based upon its correlation to melanin. So if you take something that corrupts your melanin, it's not a good medicine. If you take a medicine that accentuates your melanin, it's good. That's where you get the term chemistry from. It has the root word chem. Chem was the land of the black people, the Egyptians. The old name of Egypt was Chem. That's where you get the term chemistry from. When chemists are concocting medicines in labs, if it hurts your melanin, it's not a good drug. If it helps your melanin, it's a good drug. But what better drug to help your melanin than the sun and natural foods that get accentuated from the photons of the sun? So wouldn't you think that the sun is medicinal? So are the things that are charged by the sun. Wouldn't those two things be medicinal? Wouldn't it be wise to eat fruits and vegetables as a remedy for your problems? Wouldn't it? I gotta hurry up, man. My wife will be coming home soon. I gotta get out of here. All right. I'm not gonna be too long, guys. Okay. African women fall prey to all the Caucasian women's diseases by eating what the Caucasians eat. So, the white male supremacist medical professions does not acknowledge melanin. They do not consider white racism biochemical differences or the fact that women exhibit dis-ease symptoms differently from men. They do not evaluate the nutritional factors of dis-ease. All right? The nutricide of the African woman starts early. A life of disease is believed to be normal. How many times have I heard that from people? Well, we get sick, we gonna die anyway. That's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard our people say. It makes me so angry. The nutricide of the African woman starts early. A life of disease is believed to be normal. The Caucasian anti-melanin diet causes hormonal imbalances in African women. Hormone imbalances cause cholesterol to accumulate. For example, high cholesterol and low bile acid in the liver's gallbladder can cause gallstones. Okay, the gallbladder holds about 2 cups of bile. However, the junk food diet exhausts the liver, pineal, pituitary, thyroid, pancreas, and sex glands. The liver is not able to emulsify fats or get rid of excess estrogen. Thus, cholesterol is not emulsified, and it sticks together and forms stones. Okay, kidney stones. Women are at higher risk for stones because estrogen imbalances can increase the cholesterol. Other waste accumulates in the body, causing, how do you say this here? Arteriosclerosis. So other waste accumulates in the body, causing arteriosclerosis, varicose veins, and atherosclerosis. Okay, the arteries get blocked or clogged, and in the case of varicose veins, the legs cramp and become painful. This varicose condition is inside the body as well. In any case, clogged or blocked vessels give Caucasian medicine a chance to profit from the nutritional or from the nutricidal diseases that they have created. They're profiting off of creating disease for our people. They're making moolah off of our ignorance and stupidity. Coronary artery bypass surgery is used to replace constipated, blocked, or clogged vessels. All right? Coronary bypass replaces 2 to 3 inches of a vessel while leaving the other 99% of the artery clogged with liquid manure called plaque. In other cases, long pig veins or plastic veins are surgically used to replace clogged veins, which eventually get clogged from the junk diet. So, in essence here, stop eating the junk foods that you guys are eating. That's the problem. That's the problem. You go to the doctor, get a remedy for something, but you continue eating the same junk. If you have a doctor that doesn't actually come at you with nutrition as a remedy for illness, leave that doctor. If they're trying to write you prescriptions all the time, that's not a doctor. That's just a pill pusher. A civilized drug dealer. That's what they are. Thank you guys for listening. Leave a comment. Tell me what you guys think. I gotta hurry and get out of here before my wife comes in here. Catch me with this apple in here. All right, guys. Thank you for listening. All right. Bye.